panelists as well, just to watch for your mobile phones, ensure that they're in silence so that we don't get distraction. Welcome once again, and without much ado, welcome our president-elect to open the meeting with his opening remarks. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Good morning, everyone, and once again, welcome to NAPE. It's our pleasure to host another exciting intellectual discourse this morning. Every month, NAPE, both in Lagos and all the local chapters, we have the creative platform for industrial and academic experts to come around for intellectual discussions. And this month, we are privileged to have Dr. Muyiwa Olawoki speaking to us today. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, the Advisory Council, the ESCO, I would like to welcome each and every one of us to this August technical meeting. And I hope that we will all enjoy the sections with Dr. Muyiwa Olawoki. The topic has been on the poster, and I'm sure we are all familiar with the topic. It's going to be on Bida Basin, Reservoir, Facies, improved exploration, understanding, and projection. And this section is going to be shared by our own Professor C.S. Nwajide, and you all agree with me that it's going to be an exciting moment listening to Dr. Muyiwa Olawoki, and also the summary that will come from Professor Nwajide. So on that note, I'd like to thank each and every one of us for joining this August meeting. Before I invite the chairman, as I will also give the president's opening remarks, as I've not seen in the meeting list, is unavailable access, but I'm very sure in the course of this meeting, he will join us. So I want to welcome everybody to NAPE, and then also enjoy each and every one of us to look forward to all our chapters technical meetings. During the course of the announcement, we are going to give a roll call of all technical sessions that are coming up in the month of August and also in the subsequent months. Before I invite the chairman for the opening speech and the introduction of the speaker, I would like to recognize some of our fellows that are in the meeting today. In no particular order, let me start with Professor C.S. Nwajide and FNAPE. Dr. Muyiwa Olawoki, FNAPE, we are also recognized, is our speaker for today. We also have Dr. Charles Ojo, FNAPE. You are also welcome, sir. We appreciate all our fellows each time we see them in our technical meetings like this. On that list, I also have Mr. Alex Taka. Alex Nashe Taka, FNAPE, is also in the meeting room. Mr. John Bosco Uche, also in the meeting room. We are also welcome. Dr. Abimbola Joe-Piton, FNAPE, is also in the meeting room. As we get more of our fellows into the meeting room, we find time in the course of the presentation or at the end of the presentation to recognize them. So on that note, without taking too much of our time, I would like to invite the chairman of today's section, Professor C.S. Nwajide, to formally introduce our speakers of today for the audience. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, our PE, and I hope I'm being heard. Tunde, please, can you project the bio of Dr. Muyiwa? Welcome to everybody, wherever you're tuning in from. And this is to express my pleasure for being invited to chair this occasion. I know Dr. Muyiwa personally, professionally, and in several other ways. And I'm sure it's a very great pleasure for us to all come in today to listen to somebody who's been up there in the Bida Basin. I was nearly going to say he's been deep down in Bida Basin. He's going to dissect, beginning from the outcrop visits he has made, from which have all been published, and from the collection of literature, which is quite available on the basin. And the interesting thing he is going to add is how much of the understanding that has been made available. And then we're going to hear him talk about the projections. And the projections would be none other than recommendations for really getting to do the final stages of the exploration. And I hope he's going to recommend drilling. Dr. Muyiwa is well known for his technical excellence. He has that track record. And as we're going to experience him today, I don't need to talk really more. He's been in industry for quite a while and has actually made his mark in publications, in having worked in several of the big and not so big organizations within the EP part of the petroleum sector. Without having to take too long talking about him, I want to invite all of us to experience Dr. Muyiwa Olawoki. You are hereby invited. You have anywhere around 40 minutes plus minus to give us your insight into Bida Basin, Reservoir Facies, improved exploration, understanding, and projections. Dr. Muyiwa.
Okay. Let me say good morning to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We've had, actually, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay. So, thanks a lot.
We can now off our bandwidth to increase bandwidth of our Tunde. Maybe you switch it off from there, please. Thank you. So we can increase bandwidth.
Okay. Prof, can you hear me?
Sure.
I hear you.
Okay. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming. Nobody would like to talk to an empty space. So wherever you are, I appreciate your logging in. And I hope within the next few minutes, we'll be able to share understanding of Bida Basin with you. And at the end of the day, from your questions, we'll be able to learn a little bit more. Therefore, please allow me to use the word I or we interchangeably, because the Bida work has involved some other people. And so when I say we, I refer to that collective wisdom. And when I say I refer to my thinking, and I take full responsibility for that. Equally, I want to thank our young professional who put a little bit together on this, on the Bida Basin talk. It was a good snippet, quite interesting. So I hope we'll be able to have some learnings at the end of the day as we progress this. Let me share my screen now. I hope I'll be able to do that. Tunde, I hope I can share my screen.
You can go ahead, sir.
Okay. Allow me to go to slide mode. Okay. Can we see the first slide?
Yes. Sure.
Okay, good. So we're on. The topic has been given. It's the Bida Basin, Reservoir, Facies, improved exploration, understanding, and related projections. The presentation outline is thus. We will share our initial concepts and then go to regional stratigraphic settings, talking about the different reservoir fishes. The key thing here is the data integration that helps to improve our understanding as we bring different components together. And within a short while, we'll do the conclusion, do projections, and the recommendation. So where is Bida Basin? Bida Basin is almost at the central part of Nigeria. We can see it right there, almost to the orthogonal to the Benue Trough, and the Bida Basin is pretty well classically documented. It has a lot of good recent deposits that can help understand the subsurface, and that is the thrust of this work. Okay, let's start with what was our initial concept in 2016. And it based essentially, the structural setting was based essentially on Ujo Ajakaye gravity studies of 1976, but this was probably done a lot more with surface fault patterns, recognitions, and remote sensing. At that time, we could divide the basin into about 3 different lows and 2 highs, Bukani low, Bida high, Badegi low, Kwali high, and Abaji low. This was our 2016 thinking, my 2016 thinking, which had been greatly improved upon. And as we progress, you will see the progress we have made. So structurally, that's where we are. Stratigraphically, we didn't quite have maps, but we had Ojo, Kingsley Ojo 1992, and others that actually gave insight of potential deep packages within this block. So the stratigraphic thinking as of that 2016 concept focused on the fault pattern, which is faulting, and then the literature review, Ojo, Kingsley Ojo, for example, and analog. Around this time, I spent some time studying the Albantine Basin in Uganda. And that brought some thinking into what we can project in our own rift basin here in Nigeria. Okay, now let's go to so we start seeing improvement from 2017 when when NGSA published this data. It was made in 2012, but I got it in 2017. That's the aeromark data of Bida Basin as published by NGSA. That's our River Niger. You can see the difference quickly. Here, we can define the Batamegi subbasin, the Gadsed subbasin, and the Okoto subbasin, with Kwali High now trending almost east-west as against the initial Kwali High that is almost running north-south. And our Bida High is still running almost north-south, just like Obaje 2011 described it. So we have that structural setting, and hopefully we will see more of this. We'll see now seismic sections and data within these basins to just give us more understanding. Stratigraphically, we want to use the Rahman et al. 2019 map that actually showed that there's really a shale corridor between the Lokoja sands and the Bida sands. So that's a great improvement, and we hope that we can, at the end of the day, integrate this with NGSA map of 2011, 2012, and then the AeroMag can be incorporated with the FTG when it is available. But it will help us with structural understanding. Stratigraphically, as of about 2 months ago, this was our thinking about Bida Basin, where you have the Lokoja Sand, Bida Sands, Patti, and all that, as documented by Obaje and Nwajide 2022. These are very good references for us to understand the stratigraphy of Bida Basin. Okay, now let's go into the meat of today. Between 2017 and 2018, there were a series of personal field trips, sponsored field trips, just on personal basis. And we will see me, I will give the group later in the day. But a group of us who called ourselves, who are friends of Bida Basin, volunteered to go there, and we did field trips for about a week, just to help our own understanding. The starting point was the Filele outcrop, where we saw the Lokoja sandstone sitting on weathered basement. This is the bleached granodiorite that has been found in that area. And between what we think is the Santonian Unconformity and the basement, we think there's that pre-Santonian package. And this has been published in our 2018 Oil and Gas Journal. There we could find about 1 to 5 meters thick of pre-Santonian grain sandstone packages. So this is the beginning of our understanding of the reservoir facies. So we can talk about the proximal Fanglomerate complex. If you go to Lokoja and you have not been to ABC Park, I don't think you have been to Lokoja. That's where we have the classical stacked Fanglomerates that are stacked up to each other. And we can see that in the map, Lokoja is just to the southern tip of Bida Basin. But at Lokoja right there, you can see that package stacked together with series of erosional surfaces and that shows you equally different depositional directions from the beddings. But each of these packages is made of an individual unit that is seen here in the bottom left side, and it shows the fining upward sequence and then the gravity deposit that allows that to happen, even as we understand more of the Fanglomerate. So Fanglomerate is a big, extensive reservoir package within Bida Basin. And then as you move up right above the Bida Basin, right above the Fanglomerate, where you have falling water level or forced regression, you then cannibalize the top of that Fanglomerate to generate what is called the braided channel complex systems. And that's where you see series of channels cutting through each other. It's just because of falling sea level or forced regression that created channel and conduit systems for terrestrial materials to go from there into the deeper part of the basin. A field trip that was done in 2016, NNGS organized this in 2016, in stop 5 at Sharet Junction at Yana Bodhisadu, we can see a classical braided channel complex system. And from my right to my left, you can see how the channels actually continue to get younger, and they begin to cannibalize and then erode each other and get deposited, Even within our package B, we can see the difference in the sediments from fining upwards packages that we can see from B1 to B3. So that is the braided channel complex. The braided channel complex system actually will come together to form big sediment conduit, subsea, or big canyon that will funnel sediments from the proximal Fanglomerates into the deeper part of the basin, into the depot centers where the fans are deposited. And that will be the next one. Here is the distal fan facies as we found it at Koton-Karfi. We are still working our way at Koton-Karfi. Behind the stack surface in Koton-Karfi, you can see a stack of distal fan complex packages stacked upon each other. And a classical example of that is from, you can see bidirectional downlap that defines that package. The surface is right there. And then you can see a younger channel that seems to cut through it. And that is what we've seen equally in different projects. We can see the canyons and channels cutting through the fans and then the distal funnel complex. So these are the 3 classical reservoir facies that have been documented in Bida Basin. So let's begin now to to integrate our outcrop and subsurface data. Raman 2019 already did a lot of outcrop mapping in Bida Basin, out of which that publication was done. In 2021, we were lucky to have our Dr. Oteri, I think he's NAPE 01 now, work with us. And he gave us this log that showed the thick fanglomerates in the subsurface. So at the middle section, we can see the outcrop on top, but in the subsurface, we have that package, about 80 meters thick fanglomerates. Right below that is the channel complex, about 8 meters thick. Then below the thick shell pile is that's the distal fan deposit out there, So here we can actually see the three key reservoir facies of Bida Basin, the fanglomerates, the channels, and the distal fan complexes. This will be the repository for any hydrocarbon in this basin. Okay, now, our recent thought is that if I can map it and I can have some thickness data from the log, subsurface log, and I can have some map where I can estimate the areas. For example, the distal fan area is that, the channel is that, the fanglomerate is that, and then coupled with thickness data that I have, then we can do gross reservoir rock volume estimates. So here is the different reservoir gross rock volume estimates of the reservoir facies, as we can see it in Bida Basin. It ranges from 1 million to about 168 million acre feet. This number should be warm for any exploration project. Should be warm. More so that these are single cycles. When you stack them together, then you know that you are getting more interesting numbers. So this is to actually help us understand the initial potential that may be in Bida Basin. The gross rock volume is a big component of your resource estimation. Okay, now let's zero in a little bit. In the Okoto sub-basin of southern Bida Basin, to the south of Kwali High, we see the thick, what we call the Lokoja conglomerate. The average gross reservoir rock volume there is about 100 million acre feet. In Abaji, where we have subsurface data, surface data, we can estimate about 54 million acre feet gross rock volume. These are good numbers. And to the left is the log that shows what we are talking about in the subsurface and in the surface. I don't have seismic section that I can use, but here I want us to look at analog in Chad Basin. Chad Basin, this is line A1 that is coming from Avovo 1986. The line is a little bit to the northeast of Chad Basin, and we can see thick conglomerate package in there with some distal fan component in there. The interpretation to the left, we can see the stacked conglomerate components, distal fan packages in there, and then unresolved package below, which we think, if we look at Abubakar et al. 2019, he actually talked about this, and we can break the stratigraphy into this component. But all this is that the conglomerates are part of the Bima sandstone packages, and part of it may extend to the Yole and the lower Bima. This is to just give a perception of what the conglomerates package looks like in size. We don't have it. We have shown it as log, we have shown it as outcrop, and we can show it now as seismic. Okay, now let's go to the game changer. The game changer is the presentation given by Sulaiman 2023. And this should probably be about a month ago or 2 months ago. I think it's the first official subsurface data in Bida Basin that can be used to complement what we know in the surface. So quickly, looking at the section I'm showing you right now is a composite seismic section. It is, I just gleaned this, I put this together from what I saw because I attended the presentation. And this section is coming from the eastern flank of Bida Basin, as I understand it. But it shows a little bit of evolution of Bida Basin, starting with the syn-rift package, which will be Neocomian to Aptian, and then the Albian to Maastrichtian are essentially post-rift packages. And then below that, on top of that will be the Santonian Coniacian, which will be below the regional Santonian Unconformity, uplift, and erosional Facies. Subsequently, it came the Campanian Maastrichtian, and then the eventually Maastrichtian compression and uplift. To the flank of this, you can see the reverse fault. The reverse fault is actually coming from the Maastrichtian compression that seems to buckle up sediments in this subbasin of Bida Basin. And you can see the effect on the Santonian Unconformity. Equally, within that package, we can see the reservoir facies that have been mapped on the surface, that we have the log equivalent, the distal fans, the channels, and the Fanglomerates. But the classical one there is the base unconformity trap. For those who are used to working in a Kwaibo area, mobile acreage, shell acreage, you will understand the base unconformity trap, which is very important and can be prolific. So these are the different trap styles and understanding that we can bring in, coupled with the three-way closure and then compressional fold closure that will come from the compressional activity in here. Kerogen-wise, we can see the syn-rift package, which we think has a component of lacustrine facies and terrestrial facies, and then the overall marine facies that capped in the post-rift phase. But we know that constantly we have terrestrial input into the basin from the adjoining flanks. Equally, the Maastrichtian reverse fault suggests possible strike slip displacement. And this has been documented in Benue Trough, Burashika fault, all that. In central Benue Trough too, we can see that in the Benue fault. Here we can see the reverse fault in this section, and I'm sure it will have an attendant strike slip movement. Okay, just a little bit about this compressional strike slip movement. Ben Kelly, 1989, already documented a series of reverse faults and strike slip movement in the northern Benue Trough. Gombe is a good example. Kaltungo is there. Burashika is there. We believe the Burashika lineament actually continued and into the Benue Trough that we can see to the south. Here's an example of a picture coming from Abubakar et al. 2014, where we can see the compression system that has been mapped by Ben Kelly in Gombe area. You know, Ben Kelly could map the strike slip, and in this picture we can see the compressional event that generated that buckling up and the trust relationship. Okay, now let's project. This is where we can project. We have seen it in Bida Basin. We have seen it in Benue Basin, in Benue Trough. Therefore, we can, with the strike slip movement that we can see in central Benue Trough, you can see from River Wawa, Taraba, progressively, you can see the change, the strike slip movement as it changes value from about 20 to 34. So averagely, this is a Maastrichtian compressional event. It is sinistra. The movement is about 27 plus or minus 7 kilometers movement, lateral movement. It can generate potential fold structures in central Benue Trough. Just like we have seen the fold structure in Bida Basin, and we can see the fold structure in Benue Trough. The reconstruction, to my top left section, we can see the reconstruction of the rivers. If you just remove the effect of the strike slip, and you can see the continuity of the rivers. So it is classical, it shows classical understanding of the Maastrichtian strike slip and Maastrichtian compressional event that may be in Benue Trough. We hope seismic data will be available to support that understanding. Presentation 2 equally gave a picture about what we can see in deeper part of Bida Basin. This is coming from Olawoki 2018, Edegba et al. 2018, Obaje 2019, Rahman 2019, and Sulaiman 2020. The upper part, the Maastrichtian Campanian part, are well constrained by Obaje et al., Edegba et al., and Rahman et al. But the beauty of Rahman 2019 is the mapping of the Ahoko shale that separates the Lokoja formation from the Bida formation. That we have seen even with well data. We have some boreholes, water boreholes, which are essentially shale, almost at the core of Bida Basin. So we can calibrate that from well log, and we can calibrate that from outcrop. Now, the deeper part of it actually is coming from the presentation of last month by Sulaiman 2023, where we saw extensive Santonian erosional event, below which we have pre-Santonian sediments. These sediments will be constrained when we have biostrat data and from a well that we will propose that will be drilled in here so that we can constrain this a little bit more. So this is a revision. This is an addition to our understanding of Bida Basin. We can bring in the outcrop and the subsurface together for better understanding of the stratigraphic column. So this is a revised stratigraphic column. This would be a revised depositional model too, as constrained by our current understanding. We can see the Fanglomerates at the flank, the middle shale core, where we have our slope fans, slope deposit, channel deposits, where we have on the flanks too, we have the braided channel system on top of the Fanglomerates as the rivers fed them into the basin, continuously. So this is a depositional model that we think can help us to understand more of our efforts in Bida Basin. Now, last month from Sulaiman, we heard about the linkage of Sokoto Basin with Bida Basin. Earlier on, Salau et al. 2020 already did an aeromag study in this area, and we could see the connection between the Sokoto Basin and Bida Basin. Salau et al. Called it the Libata Auna Law. From aeromag, they've estimated between 950 and about 1,200 meters depth. And this low can be as wide as 11 close to Bida and about 23 kilometers close to Sokoto. So you can see the variation in width from Bida Basin to Sokoto Basin. It shows that connection. And if it is about 1,200 meters deep, chances are that there were early Cretaceous, late Cretaceous sediment interchange between Sokoto Basin and Bida Basin. This is the beauty of recent work and understanding that we have. Our current Kainji Lake is just sitting on top of the low, so we need to be careful. Water resources. I know our ideas find oil, but equally, water is a resource, and it could be something we think about. During the field trip in 2016 at Stop 4 near Share Kange area, we found that there's a pipe that went into the Lokoja Fanglomerate deposit within the massive pebbly sandstone. We believe that pipe goes into a rechargeable aquifer that provides spring water year-round and a reliable water supply for that community. That is a result that we can look at. It should interest our geoscientists. It should be something that can be progressed. So we are thinking that, okay, and the water can actually be a good support for the immediate communities, industrial use for that environment. So let's spend a minute on this a little bit while. So let's bring in that understanding out to our Bida Basin. From the effort that we have done before, we can estimate the gross rock volume of the local Fanglomerates. That's about 1 million acre feet. The thickness is about average thickness there is about 244 feet. At the flip side, in large Fanglomerates, we have about 54 million acre feet, thickness of about 200 feet. And then we know that all these different rivers have their paleo component and recent components that brought in sediments in where we have the Fanglomerate deposit. We have been able to constrain the river Kaduna present-day Fanglomerate, but I'm sure Paleo River Kaduna actually brought in a lot more Fanglomerates to this basin. The combination of Chachanga and Jatau River will have probably brought a big Fanglomerate package into that corridor of it. To the west is we can see River Oyi feeding Share area, and that is where that picture that I just showed you is coming from. River Oli and components and their precursors, must have at point in time continuously feed Fanglomerate deposit into this basin. Therefore, here my thinking is that the Fanglomerate deposit alone can be opportunities for good research work, constrain their petrophysical characteristic, can be good investment if you want to do water business, and actually can be good exploration efforts too in other parts of the basin. We have a good idea of what it is in the southern part of Bida Basin, but we want to be able to have a good idea of how all this distribution works in the northern part. That will probably be the next stage of the effort that we like to progress in Bida Basin, security issues allowing us. Okay, in conclusion, we've been able to define proximal Fanglomerates, channels, and distal fan complexes within Bida Basin. From seismic section, we think there could be syn-rift, Neocomian to Aptian sediments below the Albion Coniacian packages, which are capped by the extensive Santonian Unconformity. From seismic section, we have been able to identify reverse faults, which are tied to Maastrichtian compression and possibly related to strike slip movement, displacement within Bida Basin. From combination of the outcrop, subsurface, seismic, well log, we'll be able to at least constrain the stratigraphic column, pro-tem. By the time we have a well, we'll be able to constrain that stratigraphic column better, and maybe we can move it from pro-tem to being well-defined stratigraphic column. And equally from information, both published information and recent information, we can generate a reliable depositional model of Bida Basin. The gross reservoir volume data is about 1 million to 168 million acre feet. Shallow Fanglomerate aquifers can be recharged to provide potable water needs for the environment and for industrial use within Bida Basin. All this being said, we need more subsurface geoscience data to enhance our current technical understanding. Looking at the gross reservoir estimate numbers, this should be encouraging for exploration efforts. The more we understand this, the more we can get more information. Okay, projections here is that the understanding, recent understanding in Bida Basin can actually be applied to other basins, just like the understanding of the reverse fault in Bida Basin is applied to central Benue Trough strike slip movement to constrain opportunities and potentials. The stacked gross rock volume data should encourage exploration program and should probably help manage expectations. So it has enough spectrum for realities to occur. So it could help us manage our resource expectations in this block. Recommendation as we round this up, about 600 kilometers 2D grid is available in the area. This should be interpreted and integrated with current technical knowledge base and should be used to assess the initial oil and gas resource potential of Bida Basin, and a lot more of outcrop and study of the Fanglomerates. We can be able to constrain the water resource potential of Bida Basin. So that would be a recommendation that we want to put forward. In conclusion, and lastly, I really want to appreciate Dr. Kenny Ladipo, who kindled my interest in Bida Basin in 2016. And he had been a very good support. In the past 7 years, a group known as the Friends of Bida Basin Geoscience did series of self-sponsored field trips to Bida Basin. Warm knowledge-sharing sessions. Nobody hold rigidly to anything too long, more so that we don't have data to constrain them. Their contributions, their cooperation is very well appreciated by me. And the Friends of Bida Basin have published 2 publications, 2018 Oil and Gas Journal and 2022 International Geology and Geophysics Journal, which actually form core of this presentation. So when I use the word we, I refer to the Friends of Bida Basin Geoscience. And when I use the word I take responsibility for what I say. Lastly, I want to sincerely appreciate NAPE for the invitation to give this talk and for the opportunity to actually give the talk and to provide this platform for this presentation. I really appreciate NAPE. And then lastly, I want to thank you. There are 81 people logged in right now. I want to thank each and every one of you that took time to be part of this presentation. Thank you so much. And I hope we all learn together from your question and answer session. Thanks a lot and have a good, is it afternoon now? Have a good morning.
Yeah, well done, well done. We should actually be clapping for Muyiwa. Please, wherever you are, clap virtually so that Muyiwa will understand that he's very highly appreciated. In 27 slides, he has given us a lot of what we can call material for thought, a lot of stimulation, and a very subtle invitation to become a member of the Bida Basin bunch of friends, to become a friend of the Bida Basin. Indeed, what we have listened to can be applied to virtually every basin, because we know that for all the sedimentary basins of Nigeria, geologists are residing in all of them. And nothing stops anybody from following the model that has just been established by Muyiwa. You can form friends of the basin where you find yourself. Very simply, we thank Dr. Muyiwa for keeping to time. He has, in about 39 minutes, thereabout, given us solid information on this basin. And I believe that there are many questions which might arise. So please, if you want to type your question, you may do that, because if there are very many, we may not easily accommodate the voice notes. Briefly, what he has told us, you can see is in keeping with his very highly recommendable tendency to integrate. He has gone from outcrop, where he studied both the shales from the core, shale core he calls it, and where he has also studied the reservoirs. And these are the reservoirs that belong very much to the Fanglomerates. Let us note that these Fanglomerates are what we expect at virtually every point where a basement is overlain by sediment. This is quite some we can consider it an equivalent of what the French geologists called the continental intercalare, which is an expression that is very much known in the Ulemeden Basin, but which can be extended to virtually every point in Nigeria where the basements are overlain by sediments. So, in summary, we can think of first the general outcrop and the basin anatomy, which we can distinguish into lows and highs in structural terms. 2 lows and 3 highs. Then the base, he didn't specifically mention, but very clearly illustrated, is actually host and basin structure. Then the stratigraphy, very clear, a shell core flanked by the Fanglomerates, which incidentally show us finding upward progression. And they are actually alluvial fans that are very common at the base of sedimentary basins. Now, the reservoir facies very clearly stacked conglomerates. And of course, in terms of structure, we have seen that there are actually reverse faults, and the compressional tendency of these faults have given us potential unconformity traps. So we have somewhere we are aiming at when we are talking of what he finally suggested should be the 2D seismic, and then the interpretation we get from there will point us to where eventually a well will be drilled. He did more than the topic the title of his presentation suggested, and that is to go into water. From the experience of the local people who are harvesting water around the year, he has gone further to tell us that the area could be developed for water resources for the people. The recommendation of 2D seismic, even though we know it's a lot cheaper, but my very simple question, if I was permitted to ask, if I'm not taking undue advantage, is why 2D? Why not 3D? Now, with this very general summary, I hereby now throw the time open for questions. And I believe we can start. Tunde, are you hearing me? Are there any type questions which we can see?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
we go ahead.
There are questions.
We go ahead.
There are questions.
Point at. Yes. Can you help
There are
to?
questions. Philip will handle it.
Yes, you will handle it. William. Tunde.
All right. Thank you very much. Excellent presentation, sir. And also excellent summary as well. So we'll take questions. For those who are on the call, you can also engage the Q&A button to also drop your questions. Thank you.
Yes.
So I'll read the questions. Very good. Please also try to drop your name and affiliation also when giving the question.
Yes, tell us your affiliation, your name, affiliation, and then your question, please.
Yeah, but this first one is from an anonymous attendee. It said, very good documentation of the reservoir and trapping play elements in Bida Basin. Please, if possible, can you speak more on the source potential and overall overburden thickness that can enhance maturity?
Okay, do we take these questions one after the other rather than
let me take like 3 and then you can.
Oh, if they come together, if they are all related, we can take them. But quickly we can take them one after the other so we all can share understanding.
Okay.
Do I take this one? If you
maybe I mentioned the second one from anonymous attendee as well. Is great. Please, what is the thickness of sediment to basin? Are there sub-basins within the basin? Thank you.
Very clear. Yeah, sub-basins already mentioned, very clear. Third one. The third one, yes, please. You said three questions.
I think these are the two I have now. You can go ahead.
Okay, please, Dr. Muyiwa, carry on with the answers to these two, after which we expect more, yes.
If you can see the slide, that these are the different sub-basins within Bida Basin from Aeromag. But immediately, we don't have access to the FTG data. Immediately, we have open access to the FTG data. We can constrain this basin. But this is the best that we have right now. We have the Batamegi sub-basins and the Gatsa sub-basin and Okoto sub-basin. And these names have been published in our 2018 work. And then these names are actually at the center of each of these laws. So they are coming from the villages that we took from Google Earth to make sure that we name this and get to do it the way we think it should be done right. Equally, I think there was a question about kerogen. Yeah, in the northern part, in the northern Bida Basin, which is essentially the Batamegi and Gatsa, we expect some lacustrine fishes in there with marine. There may be more of lacustrine before the Turonian influence. But to the south, we expect continuous interchange of marine sediment because of the connection to the Benue Trough. Don't forget that continuously we have terrestrial material that are coming from the flank. So kerogen type, we expect lacustrine, marine, and terrestrial. Talking about overboarding, I don't have seismic, so I can't really talk about overboarding. I can't talk about overboarding thickness, but I think whatever your opportunities are, you need to be able to map that prospect, and within the area of your prospect, then you can look at the related overboarding to that package. So, but I'm sure that there are places in this basin where the overboarding thickness will probably be in excess of about 2,000 meters thick. From Sulaiman 2023, I think we have the seismic data down to about 2.5. But you know, we've had FTG data that says there could be up to 7,000 meters of sediments in this basin. So there's room that will drive your kerogen into the oil and gas generation window. Is that all? Anyone I'm missing out? I think those are the three things that I can recollect.
Yeah, okay, let's have more questions, please.
I'll take three continuously now. From
three continuously, yes.
From Jude Osage, thanks a lot for the erudite presentation. My contribution is that the recommendation about the water resource project be pursued vigorously to benefit the potential host community. If possible, exploration and production efforts are to be made as a form of ESG metrics CSR activity. The second one is from Prof.
That doesn't require a lot of response from this presenter. I think that was a suggestion. Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. Then 3 questions more. Yes. Or rather to come.
All right. Prof. Yeah, Prof.
Go ahead.
Muyiwa, thanks for your excellent presentation. It is good to know that. Okay, sorry, I can see it's a comment. I'll skip it. I'll go straight to question.
No. Please just read through it.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if there's any other opportunity for us to go through comments. Just read through it.
Okay, no problem. It said it is good to know that much work has now been done in Bida Basin. Then question from Kolawole Akinwotu. When was the existing 2D seismic shot? What was the objective wondering why it has not been fully interpreted as you recommended. Then
quickly, just on this, is there really a 2D? Muyiwa?
Yeah, Sulaiman 2023 at the Abuja presentation gave information that about 600 kilometers of 2D lines are available in the basin. It's documented in the last presentation in Abuja by Sulaiman on Bida Basin.
Any interpretation?
I wouldn't know, because I don't know and I don't have access to the data. So I'm saying we have this data. The next thing is to interpret it and integrate it, and then come with a work proposal, which I'm sure somebody is doing somewhere.
Okay. This is done. Next question, really.
All right. What I see here is mostly comments. We have a comment from Professor Morufdin Adabanuga. I think the overburden can be estimated from NGSA aeromagnetic map. Is a comment from him. Most of the comments I'm seeing here are mostly, excellent presentation, very insightful with integration of outcrops and then seismic data. That's from Dr. and Mrs. Ogechi. Then we have, who else? So mostly these are the questions I have for now. Most are others are just comments. Excellent presentation.
I saw something from Deem, from Dr. Deem of UNN.
Okay, yes. I will read it.
There's Muyiwa who raised his hand. Let's give them some chance. Dr. Deem.
All right.
Hello, Dr. Deem. Okay, let's go to Imam Adawea.
Thank you, Professor Majide FNAPE, for the opportunity and for the sharing this session very excellently. Dr. Muyiwa FNAPE, thank you very much for doing wonderful justice to the topic, and not just doing justice to the topic, but also allowing the younger generations to have a peep into what the Friends of Bida Basin have been doing and have done and documented and brought to us. It's an excellent appreciation from me to you guys. Now, I have a two-folded question. The first one is, maybe it may sound political, but with all these things that we've seen in Bida Basin and with all the approximately 100 years experience that have been put into Bida Basin, 100 years experience in the sense that cumulatively the experience aggregate of Friends of Bida Basin is approaching 100 years. If I give one 30 years and the other one 20, 30 is approaching 100 years. How do we, I don't know whether it's a challenge or concern, is how do we propagate this more to the policymakers, to the decision makers of this country, so that we can also have a leeway into it and being more productive. I'm aware that some work are being done, but myopically, you may say, may I classify it as being a figment of imagination into what you've just shown to us? Look at the width from the electromagnetic data acquisition that was done from Bida to Sokoto. So we have a lot of resources there. Concern for me is how do we make more noise? How do we make more road shows so that the policymakers, decision makers, or who make it known more? That's one. The second one is, granted is the fact that in NAPE, our idea is find oil and gas. But also as a geoscientist, you can agree with me, and I'm happy you mentioned it, that pipe of water is a leeway into an aquifer there. And the area, being an area I have very little knowledge of, but I'm aware that the indigenes there are also gasping for water. How can we be suffering in plenty? Who should be aware of this so that at least the villagers there or the community there can have a breath of good water? If there's a pipe underneath it and it's showing us presence of water, why should we be suffering in the midst of plenty? Apologies if I'm not making any coherent meaning, but it just a thought flying through my head throughout this presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the questions you asked are very much in the public discussion, but in view of the situation, Muyiwa, you could have one or two things to say in response to Dr. Madawe, but make it brief, please. Hello, Muyiwa.
Yes, sir. My response is very simple and short. If we are to make more roadshow and stuff like that, NAPE, we should not make noise. We should make quality contribution that people will listen to, and then that will, and that is the trust of NAPE. I expect that will be part of the trust of NAPE to showcase, to advertise, to promote, and to get engaged with every appropriate quarter of what NAPE is doing or what NAPE members are doing that will help the populace and population and the nation at large. I think I will leave that. So the issue of more of showcasing, more of recognition, I think NAPE should probably take that up. About the water for the community, one of the things I was thinking is that NNPC and NAPE, we can work with the Ministry of Water Resources. We can work with the Ministry of Energy in a way to just make sure that we bring our own understanding to bear in what they are doing. Unfortunately, engineers will pick this up and go and do things without the geologists. Okay, but we are the one that will probably make sure that we get to the appropriate door, appropriate place where our contributions can be recognized and can be used for the benefit of all. I think that's my thinking for now.
And
okay.
let's think of if we are really to propagate this, our sister organizations, Nigeria Association of Hydrogeologists, NMGS itself, these are all going to be concerned about this water thing. And of course, the Ministry of Water Resources. So it's a much larger thing than our own NAPE association, which in fact, there's a way you pursue it, and the question will arise as to, have you finished with oil and you are now in water? So the whole thing is a matter of how we pursue it. Yes, I can see Dim's hand up.
Okay.
Dr. Dim.
Yeah, thank you very much, my chair. And Professor Majide, thank you, Dr. Muyiwa. This is great. I stepped out a bit. My interest is actually on very nice presentation, I have to say. My interest is how you were able to characterize the sub-basin. And to me, this is the way to go. There are something of which there is on the know. Some of the basin we are now beginning to look at in the inland part of Nigeria. We can see that by the time you're able to characterize them sub-basin wide, I think this was a plus. Why Niger Delta could be said to be mature. What we call depot belts, these are sub-basin. And when we bring those knowledge to the fore when looking at these frontier basin, you could see that we can now narrow down to prospectivity. What my interest is, how deep can we better characterize this sub-basin? Somebody just raised the question about thickness. So if we're able to characterize this, we could also be able to narrow down to making proposal to
to NMPC, perhaps I'm just using because they are the people at the front, say, okay, this is the place to go and reacquire 3D seismic. As we know now, there are rarely wells within this Niger Basin, that's the Bida Basin, and also good seismic or 3D you could lay your hands on when you actually want to do great job. What the speaker has done is great. I think one could say that this is the best you can get out with available data. So going forward, what could we do? Could he suggest to us areas that we could say, okay, let's go here and reacquire 3D seismic. There is prospectivity within this northern part or central part of the basin. I don't know whether it's too much to ask, but that's how I'm thinking. The chairman will understand me where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Exactly, yes. Muyiwa, what can you recommend about 3D and 2D? If 2D has been done, can you go from there to how we can particularize? I think that is the summary of Dr. Deem's question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks. I think we have to start. We have to start with what is called reconnaissance survey. And the reconnaissance survey already started by the FTG data, by the Aeromag data. Those are all regional big data. The next thing is to go for the loose grid 2D that will just help you constrain what you have seen in Aeromag data, FTG data. You can, with that fairly loose grid 2D, or let me just say yes, loose to medium scale grid, depending on what you want to image. You need that reconnaissance 2D. After you reconnaissance 2D, then you can then narrow, because of cost, you can then narrow to your immediate area of interest where you think there's a potential for all elements of petroleum system to come together, complement each other, to eventually give you an accumulation that you will test by a well. And that well will be drilled based on the 3D. It may be a small patch, and it may be a big patch, depending on the scale of what you want to image. But you should be able to do the fundamentals, Aeromag data to give you basin understanding, 2D to give you basin configuration and thicknesses and constraint thicknesses. And then from there, you can equally evaluate all elements, 5 elements of petroleum system, and once you can see them complement each other, go for a 3D that will probably lead to a well, to a wildcat. I think that should be my thinking.
Thank you very much. This still runs along recommendations.
Yes.
How many more questions have we?
One.
One more, yes. And I have one little one at the end of it all.
No problem. From an anonymous attendee, said, is there any geochemistry data within the basin available?
Muyiwa.
I'm sure there are a lot of surface geochemistry work done. I won't be surprised if Akonde, Ojo, and all those did some geochemistry work. I won't be surprised. But there's no deep, I'm yet to be aware of any deep geochemistry work done. And when I say deep, below the Santonian Unconformity, that's what I'm saying. I'm not aware of any geochemistry work done below the Santonian Unconformity. But between Ahoko shales and all these shales that are mapped all over the place, I'm sure there'll be some geochemistry work done.
I'm also compliment by saying that the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency has been doing quite some geochemical sampling all over the country, and inquiries with them may indicate what exactly is the nature of their findings and if they have put together any kinds of work that could give trends as to what exactly, maybe not directly on hydrocarbons, but what exactly would be the geochemical data available in the particular area of our present concern. That's the way to look at geochemical data. I use this opportunity to request the presenter to please make a little more comment on this kind of distant correlation between the Bida Basin and the southern parts of the Ulemeden Basin. In the geological maps that Nigerian Geological Survey, from Geological Survey of Nigeria to Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, we know that there is a basement exposure between the northwestern limit of the present basin we are discussing, Bida, and the southern boundary of the Ulemeden Basin. There is a basement exposure. And when the jump correlation is done between the two basins, I wonder if it is based on any sedimentary exposure. Please, is there a comment on this from Muyiwa?
Sorry, sir, I don't really understand what is jump correlation. I can't understand. I don't.
Okay, I don't know whether you can still manage to show the slide that connects the two basins. There's a slide that shows a kind of connection between the two basins. Yes, keep going backwards. Let's see whether you can make a comment. Okay, this one. This is it. That blue patch. That blue.
Yes.
Yes, that blue. Libata Anualu. I see Sokoto Basin there. I prefer Ulemeden though. And what exactly is intended by this?
What exactly is what?
Intended by that connection between, can you see the blue patch?
Yes.
Yes. What's exactly? What's the, I can see revised understanding, Sokoto Basin's connection?
Yes.
Is there a sedimentary, is there anything sedimentary between the two? That blue patch, is it sediment?
Oh yeah, between Sokoto, okay, you don't like Sokoto, all right, let's illuminate it. Between Ulemeden Basin, as the chairman, so that you don't tell me to keep quiet, between Ulemeden Basin and Bida Basin, there's that Libata Auna low connection. If you look at maps that were done in the 60s and 70s, they struggled, some of them struggled with that connection. And I think it was late Professor Peters that started the potential connection between Sokoto and between Ulemeden Basin and Bida Basin story. I think it was Professor Peters. And for those who know the history, pardon me, but I think he was one of those who are talking about it. And then Adeleye, I think Adeleye in 1974, 19something, were talking about it. One of our professors don't believe it is there, and we had a lot of argument about this. But now we don't have to argue that anymore. We have had data from acquired by NNPC that shows that connection. So, but to answer your question, if this low is as deep as 1,200 meters, I have a feeling that actually there may be stratigraphic connection of pre-Santonian of today. They tend to put Maastrichtian connection between two of them, and that's fine because Maastrichtian is the youngest that we can see in Bida Basin. I'm looking at the map of Nigeria now, right across that area, and I think that connection is there. I think that connection is there, and it could be as old as maybe Turonian connection, but without pushing it to sediment connection between the Bida Basin and Bida Basin. Will that suffice for a minute?
Yes.
Chairman, sir.
Thank you very much for your answer. And but what I want to finally believe is that this question is still open. I don't understand how all the geological maps published by Geological Survey and then published by NGSA, those maps are showing a basement outcrop area between the two basins. So it means that NGSA in particular, the statutory makers of the geological maps of Nigeria, have a particular assignment, and that is to go and verify that there is actually a sedimentary connection between those two. That is one. I am baffled. I'm baffled. I have some other guys who have established a kind of link between the two, but I want to understand how the area has always been shown as a sedimentary, an area bereft of sedimentary material and actually only basement outcrops. I think real, truthing. We have to go and do a proper truthing of it in order to make sure that the two basins are connected or that they are not connected. I think this is an open question yet, because I don't see why the geological maps will all be showing it as basement, and then we are now seeing connections and actually estimating their depths and their widths. Very interesting. I think that's one thing we have to go and verify. Ground truthing will be it. Thank you very much. Any other concern? Otherwise, we should be progressing to other parts of this meeting.
Can I ask a question?
Who wants to ask a question?
Oh, it's me, Muyiwa.
Now, who are you asking that question?
You,
Muyiwa. You are the guy to be answering all the questions. So go ahead and ask it, then answer. Go ahead.
No, but a little bit, my concern is about, and I appreciate your statement, but if we are using modern day 2023, 2022 data, FTG, Aeromark data, and we are comparing it with maps that were made in 2011, maps made in 2012, maps made in 1974, are we to say technology cannot unravel some of these things and we hold rigidly to 1974, 2020, 2011 maps, where we have modern day data telling us what is real, and it is not within my task or my mouth to tell NGSA to go anywhere. No, that's not what I'm saying, and you have said it. But I'm saying that we should probably be careful the way that we sort of discount modern technology and weigh things towards old stories. And that's what we are trying to do in this basin too. In Bida Basin, we are trying to say, what is our current modern thinking that supports the information that we knew before? And we are saying, let's champion modern technology, modern information, rather than held rigidly to the old paradigm.
Thank you very much. Quickly, I want to state that it's not even a matter of technology, that very sophisticated technology. All the technology input that's required to sort out this is the good old ground truthing. Geologists should go to the very spot we're talking about and actually try to bring out that I mark in quotes, see the sediments connecting the two. That's all. It doesn't require any sophisticated technology other than the normal field trip that will take one physically to the spot and then look around and see physically sediments, sample them and do the studies that will tell us where they belong, whether more to the north or more to the south. I think this we can take beyond here. We can take it out of this present situation and get towards other parts of this program, which I'm sure will involve a bit more of what the PE will direct us on. Are we near there now, Philip? Where are
yes,
we?
I think we can proceed. Yes, to the other items. Yeah.
Yes, and at this juncture, I'm not taking up the work of the person who will do the special thank you at the end of this, but I want to specifically thank the presenter, the good old Dr. Muyiwa, for a real good job, which is being commented on from several sources. Many people are asking questions are simply complimenting your very good presentation. Thank you very much, Muyiwa. And we can now proceed with other parts of this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, over to the PE, sir. Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Nwajide and Dr. Muyiwa Olawoki. I'm sure everyone will agree with me that this is a very stimulating discussion, and I'm sure that a lot of ideas have been dropped off the table for us. This is one of the things we want to bring out at every technical section so that we create that platform to have this intellectual discussion. And for the academia that has in this meeting, Prof have also given us a follow-up research work to go back and see the sedimentary connection between the Sokoto Basin and the Bida Basin. And I'm sure someone dropped a note in the chat room that I think that was Jamin Maga, that the NGSA is also carrying out a baseline study as we speak in that basin. So I'm sure in the coming months and weeks, we'll be getting more information from Bida Basin. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, the Advisory Council and ESCO, I would like to thank Dr. Muyiwa Olawoki for graciously accepting the invitation of NAPE to provide this technical discussion this afternoon now. And I look forward to having him again at the NAPE conference, because I know Dr. Muyiwa is also going to be one of the technical paper presenter. So this conversation will continue, and the studies of the basin, inland basin, will also continue. So like Prof said, as we have a friend of Bida Basin, because we can also have friends for other basin as well, so that our idea will continue to find oil and gas. So thank you very much, everyone.
Absolutely.
In the course of the presentation, I know we also have some of our fellows. We appreciate you for joining us in this technical section. Professor Mostos Honora, FNAPE, Professor Samuel Akonde, FNAPE, thank you for joining. And we also have Mr. Jibola Oyebamiji, FNAPE, and Mrs. Noni Iwogu, FNAPE. Thank you for joining this August section. So we will now go into the announcement. Like I said at the beginning, we have technical section across all our chapters. So we go into the announcement to see other technical sections that are coming on and the topic for discussion. Thank you. Philip, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, thank you very much. Excellent technical session so far. Just quick announcements before we end for the day. The first is the technical meeting for Warri chapter. We can see the topic on the slide. We have our own Dr. Ifeanyi Obi as the guest speaker. Let's do well. It's going to be done virtually, and you can see the registration link here. I think we also get this in our email as well to follow through. If you move to the next one, and that should be for Sakot chapter, the topic finding and developing hydrocarbon, begins with, you can see it on the screen just to save time. And then the speaker is Dr. Jude Osimobi. That will be happening on the 28th of August this month. If we move to the next one. All right, that's the abstract. Yes, we have Oko chapter with topic entrepreneurship, development, and continuing education in Nigeria. With the speakers being one of our fellow, Professor Betty Ozumba, FNAPE, FNNGS, who will be sharing with us on this particular topic. It's something that we should watch out for. Happening 30th of August as well in Owerri, the Legend Hotel. All right, the registration for the conference is still ongoing. We are encouraged to get our registrations sorted out. We're still looking for different sponsorship opportunities, and also exhibition subscription as well, still ongoing. You do well to reach the president-elect, or you can as well reach Lawrence as well for more details as well. Thank you. This is the detailed flyer for abstract submission, and also for the conference at large. You can see the fees here. I believe we also do get this in our various email. Let's do well to register for the conference. If we move to the next one. Yes, the call for abstracts. A lot of questions have been asked about this. It's been extended, and we are still accepting abstracts. The deadline has been updated to the 31st of August. Let's do well to send in our abstracts. For those who still need some internal approvals, let's do well to get it and then, submit. Exhibition, as mentioned before, just contact the contact person listed here. That's Bidemi and Begore. You can see our contact details, or you can as well reach Lawrence Osago for more details of what opportunities are still available for this. We encourage us to have our dues paid for those who are yet to pay for this year, and for those who are yet to pay for the back row. Let's try to subscribe, and that's how we grow as an association. If you move to the next slide, this is just to keep us abreast with what's happening, in NAPE, so that we can, participate. Move to the next slide, please. Okay, that should be, yes. Thank you. Yes, our summer school is still ongoing in terms of registration. We have the introductory reservoir engineer for geosciences. We see the speakers as displayed. Please do well to reach. Okay, was someone trying to reach me? All right. I think this should be almost the last. We have our mini conference coming up in about 3 weeks now from now, with University of Lagos being the host. We're all just to try to come around and encourage is a conference for students pretty much, but we also do welcome senior professionals, just to interact with students and also get to motivate and encourage them more or less. So we'll look forward to your participation. Please, I know for myself being the UAP chair, a lot of persons have asked how can they get involved in terms of sponsorship. Please do well to reach myself or reach Lawrence, for if you have interest to sponsor students, pretty much mostly from what has been common is mostly from alumni groups. So your alma mater, if you want to sponsor, the sponsorship is I think 10,000 for registration for a student. So you can reach myself or Lawrence for that. And then we have African conference. this is coming up 20th to 21st September in London, for those who will be interested in participating. I think that will be it. Yeah, please do well to reach the president-elect or Lawrence for to enjoy this kind of events we had today, to participate in our technical and business meetings. And then our HMO package still, we can, for those who are interested in subscribing, can reach out to Mr. Lawrence Tunde for how to do that. Yeah. At this point, I'll hand over to Mr. Goodluck Adagbasa to give us, who is the chair of our 2023 election, to give us update from the committee. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Philip, and good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I'll be giving this short presentation on behalf of the distinguished members of the electoral committee. Next slide, please. As a scene set, just showing the schedule that we've been working with. Sorry, is not very clear, but this is just showing our terms of reference and the schedule that we're working with. We started this process sometime in June, requesting for nomination from eligible members of our association for the 3 available positions that we'll be getting our folks into, and that is the president-elect position, the vice president, and the UAP chair. We did get some interested members that showed interest, but unfortunately, we did not get enough initially, so we had to extend the date for nomination. At the end of that, we got about seven people, 7 of our members who indicated interest in those positions, and we went ahead with the screening process. We went through the screening process. The AC advisory body went through this process as well, and at the end of it, only 5 of those members were eligible to stand for election, and those are the 5 that we had already published. For the post of the PE, we got only 1 nomination, and that is the person that you're seeing on your screen as John Bosco Uche. He's running unopposed. For the position of the vice president, we have Mr. Ehi Bazwaye. He's also running unopposed. For the position of the UAP chair, we have 2 of our distinguished members, Mr. Oluseye Ekun of Chevron, and then Dr. Ifeanyi Obi of ExxonMobil. So these are the people that will be contesting for these positions. And the last slide there is just talking about when we'll be voting. So where we are currently is folks they're supposed to be talking to members, but we had said that we don't want anything elaborate. Members of the committee had said folks should go into the portal. We have uploaded details of each of these candidates on the portal. Please go into the membership portal, read up on their achievements and their antecedents to date to get yourself informed about the people that will be taking these positions come November. Voting is expected, we'll be starting, voting will begin first week of September for 2 weeks. And end, September, then it will end by October 15. So that's about 6 weeks. Please, even if we have positions that are going unopposed, we expect that members will go in there and still cast their votes. We want to ensure that the people that will be running our association are people that have the backing of the majority of our members. So I enjoin everyone to please go into the membership portal once it's opened to cast your votes. So that is all I have for now to share. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah. I think with that, P, I think I'll hand over to you for concluding remarks. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Phillips. And once again, I want to use this opportunity to thank everyone that have joined this August technical meeting. Let me especially thank Professor C.S. Nwajide for accepting to share the section, and Dr. Muyiwa Olawoki for the stimulating topic that we have discussed today. And also to the geoscience family, I want to thank everybody. Please, let's look forward to other chapter technical meeting, and then next month, we also have another technical meeting. This time, it will be an hybrid, physical and virtual in Lagos. On that note, I would like to draw the curtain on today's section and wish everybody good day wherever you are, and let us continue to be safe and be cautious of our environment. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Bye for now. Thank you, Prof.
Okay then. All the best. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, sir. Bye.
Okay, Muyiwa. All the best.
Thanks, Prof. Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Dr. Muyiwa. Good to hear your voice again.
All the best.
Good luck. Have a nice
How are you,
afternoon,
sir?
sir. How are you?